This WAFLW live stream is proudly brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the WAFL, and WAFLW, Bupa, proud sponsor of WA football. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.
Are you ready? Ready to go? Are you ready? Ready for more? Are you ready? Ready for me? Oh my, oh my. Are you ready? Ready and now to keep going. And I can't stop. Are you ready? Ready for me? Oh my, oh my. Are you ready? Are you ready?
It's finals time in the WAFLW, the first season of WAFLW in Western Australia, and we've made it to the final series. Swans and Claremont to get things underway in the first semi-final and elimination match today here at Steel Blue Oval. You can see the conditions that are ahead of the girls out here this afternoon. It's been torrential rain for the last hour or two around the metro area, and plenty of it has fallen out here in Bassendean, so puddles on the broadcast wing and plenty of soft turf around the place as well. Swan Districts on screen going through their warm-up at the moment, finishing third on the ladder, taking on Claremont, who finished fourth. The winning team today continues their run through the finals. They move into a preliminary final. The loser, well, their season is all over. The Tigers going through their warm-up away to the right of your screen at the moment. You can see some of the puddles that they're going to have to deal with out there today. So tough conditions for the girls, but no tomorrow for the loser. So everything on the line for these two sides. It promises to be a fantastic game of footy. Swans have beaten Claremont on all three occasions this year. The Tigers will need to reverse that today if their season is to go at least one further week. David Lindsay in commentary with you. We'll take a break. We'll introduce the rest of the commentary team on the other side of the break and have all the action from this first semi-final here at Steel Blue Oval.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First, a network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
It's a high ball. Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're the lady in a hurdling. Well, I feel that day.
Yeah, incredibly exciting. It's obviously a new chapter in my career, in my football career, but I'm incredibly excited to be here and a part of this football club. And I've been really impressed by the professionalism, the level of respect that they've treated me through this process, and I guess the core values that the club have. The product that we're producing now for AFLW has really grown over 3 years, but the next 3 to 5 years is going to be incredible, and some really talented girls coming through, and I can't wait to actually work alongside them. And I felt like I'd be a part of a family here.
First semi-final here at Steel Blue Oval, Swan Districts and Claremont, an elimination game between these two sides. Swans really coming with a rush the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've been in tremendous form and they loom as a real threat to Subiac on East Fremantle, who are playing later this afternoon in the second semi-final. The winner of that match going into the grand final, taking the direct passage, and of course the loser of that match We'll play the winner of this one in a preliminary final next week. The Tigers on your screen at the moment. Someone who knows the Tigers very well is our expert commentator here this afternoon, Emily Johnson. Welcome. Look at these conditions, Jono. Just your type of strip to play on here today. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think yesterday was more my go. It was nice and sunny and dry, but I think it should be a good game, and I think the weather won't suit either side in particular, but it should make for an interesting contest.
And Clint Daggerbrot joins us as well to make the team of three up here in the box. It's quite nice and warm and cosy up here, Degs. I think we've got the best position on the ground here this afternoon.
Have to admit to staying in the car a little bit longer after I got to the ground just to make sure my slippers didn't get too wet on the way up to the box. Pretty exciting. Just watching the two teams warm up. Cameron, Horton, Sharp and Kane looking $1,000,000 with a wet footy. And for Claremont, Bonza, Hongle, White and Orm also handled the wet footy very, very well. So I think we'll see the best players be the best players on the ground today. I think that's probably for everyone. That's not a special comment.
No.
The clean players will remain clean. We should see a pretty good game. Two good sides.
Now, Jono, the Swan District side's been a real bogey team for Claremont over a number of years, particularly this season, obviously 3 from 3. They're the only team that Claremont haven't beaten. Do you give the Tigers any hope today of reversing that?
I think so. They've got everything to play for, don't they? If they lose, they're out. But there is a bit of a hoodoo. They haven't managed to beat the Swans in, I think it's probably 8 or 9 years. I remember the last game we beat them was probably back in 2011 at night. I think it was wet on that occasion, so maybe an omen there, but we'll see.
Deggers, which way are you leaning in this cutthroat final?
It's all for Swans, but it depends on. I think the wild cards for the Tigers are Colgate, Lewis, and Orm. If they can have big games, I think Claremont can go a long way. But I think the Swans across the ground, the matchup's too strong at the moment for Tigers.
Now, the Tigers will be attacking the left-hand side of your screen, which will be with the advantage of the breeze. The windsock on the outer side indicating it's a strong wind, probably heading towards that scoreboard in the right forward pocket rather than directly down the ground, but certainly at the back of the Tigers. As Zadnik gets us underway up against Strom in the ruck, she'll take the first possession of the game, can't get it out cleanly. Swan's fighting on. Gibson starting in the middle. She was a real threat against Claremont earlier in the season.
Also giving her plenty of attention there, not giving her an inch.
Remember back to that game at Claremont Oval, she kicked 3, including one where she socketed the ball 5 or 6 times from the centre of the ground, eventually finishing it off. So the kick goes forward off the boot of Stannett. So Swans moving into attack first. Claremont through low. Can't take clean possession. We'll see a lot of that today. Hyde, well tackled. Nice work by Eels. First time I've seen her in the Tigers' colours this afternoon. Ball up on the wing.
Very good matchup here on this wing, Sharp and Orm. So Orm's gone to Sharp for the day.
Saw Orm did the media during the week as well, representing the Tigers, as the final series was promoted heavily at Optus Stadium. Here's Davison with the footy for Swans. Gets them inside 50 for the first time. Good cover and defence by Claremont, a diving attempt. And it's been wrapped up. A good mark, helping out in defence there. Eels sends it long and wide, too wide. It'll skid away, and that will be a free kick to Swan Districts, of course. The last possession rule still in play. And Gibson will be the player to take the free kick. Little chip pass. Puts it out into space. It was well balanced kick. Just put it out in front of the leading player, Davison. Couldn't finish it off. The ball spinning around on the ground. In dispute. Coming across. Bonza. Got some good news during the week. Added to the West Coast Eagles list. So too Maguire, who she's playing against today. A mark taken by Webb. Swans will set up again. Short pass. Hongle coming across. Cop one in the head as Houghton came out strongly on the lead. Swans keep it alive through Cameron. She's tackled by Garstone. The ball spills out of her hands. Trying to hack it forward was Kane. She goes down holding her head as well. Colgate with the long clearing kick, but straight down the throat of Gibson, who's set up well behind the ball early stages. And there's going to be a 50-metre penalty paid here against a Claremont player who just wandered into the zone. That was Goodwin Wissink. And as a result, the 50-metre penalty will bring Gibson well within range.
One of the highest skilled players in the competition with ball in hand, being handed a shot from 20 metres out, just from a little error.
So there's no gimmies out here today, but this is directly in front pretty much, about 25 out, kicking into the teeth of the breeze. The rain has gone away for the moment at least as Gibson gets close to the player on the mark and as a result hooks the kick and misses to the left. So a rare error in front of goal from Gibson, but she has started the game promisingly. First score going the way of the home side.
Just didn't account for the wind there, I don't think, and maybe off the side of the boot a bit.
So it'll be Pugh to bring it back into play for Claremont. runs her full measure and then kicks long to a contest off the hands of Kane. It goes close to the line. Gibson thought it was going to stay in for a moment, but it goes out. We'll see a ball up, or throw in rather, left half forward for Swans.
Swans were set up really well behind that footy there. That I don't think Claremont were a chance of getting it out there. It was the only option was a turnover or out of bounds.
So thrown back into play. Off hands down to Cameron. Like to see her with ball in hands. This time she decides to get boot to ball quickly. Orme knocks it back to the advantage of a teammate. Smith was ripped off the footy. Coming through Bonza strongly. Just gains a little bit of ground. She'll almost, she will get the next possession. In fact, she soccers off the deck. Into space on the wing. Goodwin Wissink playing forward now. Tracking the ball on the wing. About to be tackled. She loses it. Taken away by Kane with the outside of her boot. Kicked it straight to Bonza. Clever little work. Just bought herself some time. Gave it off to Colgate. That kick was partly smothered. Almost straight up in the air the ball goes. Hongle wanted too much time. She was caught. Great tackle by Kane. Swans with the free kick. Kane moves it on very quickly. Long and direct. Good by use of the body. Up forward. Cameron got rid of her opponent. Takes the mark. Good long kick towards full forward. The ball slips through the fingertips of her teammate. Deep in attack. Lowe does nicely. Clever sidestep. Got herself a little bit of space. Kicks long, hoping for wide. It was knocked away from her. Here's Antonio. Goes with the torpedo. Long and high to the top of the goal square. Houghton tried to be worked off. It free kick picked out for a hold against Garstone. And the free kick will go the way of Gemma Houghton, who has been a very important forward for Swans since playing probably the second half of the season, John O'Deeks.
Yes, I think they've made the decision to rest her in the first half so she can get a bit of momentum moving into the final series. And I think it would pay off as she goes back and slots that one.
First goal of the game goes the way of Gemma Houghton and Swan Districts, and they've dominated the opening 4 or so minutes of this contest. They lead it 7-0, and there's some danger signs already early here for Dix.
I think John Arrow alluded to it before, that Swans are set up so well on the outriders that Claremont seem to play week in, week out at 40 metres out, directly within 40 metres out. They cannot get the ball out to the back of the box on transition. And it just means the defenders, unfortunately, have to defend for their lives for long periods of time, 6 and 7 entry, 6 and 7 sort of phases, and eventually a little tug of the jumper, and Horton's able to convert. So really, they have to get their wings in the right spot to receive these defensive kicks. And at the moment, the Tigers' wings are hell-bent on defending rather than connecting.
So we're back in the middle. Zadnik flicking it over the back. Strom was going in the same direction. Through comes Bowen. Sidesteps nicely. Kicks towards half forward. Cameron read it better than her opponent in Eels. Just ducking out the back and wrapping up a chest mark. Looks like she doesn't think she's got the distance within her, so she kicks long and high. It holds up. Almost hits a brick wall in mid-air there. Garstone with the double fist. Probably could have marked there. Michaela Hyde tried to shrug the tackle, took the player on, ball hits the deck. Antonio hooks across the body and she misses. But all the signs are very good for the Black and Whites early.
Amara Cameron just, I think, got the experience over Jess Eels there. That's twice she's just bodied her out of the contest and read the ball a bit better.
Got a pretty good indication of the strength of that breeze as well. The ball looked all right off the boot, but then it almost hit a wall and dropped dead. And this ball skidded away. The umpire's going to rule that it's gone out of play just outside the 50-metre arc. So Antonio gets the free kick and uses it beautifully. Kicks to the leading player yet again, Cameron. And she's lively up forward again. She doesn't think she's got the distance, so she pokes a kick towards full forward. Houghton couldn't take that one. Swooping at the back is Webb, throws it on the left. Doesn't get enough bend on it, and Swans are peppering the goals early.
It's great to see the Tigers midfield down there helping in the wings as well. But again, if you see that setup, there's no way for Claremont here to transition out of defensive 50.
Oh, now Garstone has taken that kick quickly. Has it been touched before it went out? It must have been, because I don't think she left the goal square. So it was just touched inside the field of play. Boundary throw in.
Just behind this footy as well, there's probably within 50 metres of this contest, there's no players. So the ball's just going to go out and then go straight back in again.
No winner from this boundary throw in. So the field umpire is called upon to split them. Paris Laurie down in defence helping out now against Ralph. Ball comes to ground. Condipadero knocked off it. Matthews couldn't take possession. Arnott, her hand pass went nowhere. We'll see a fair bit of this today in the slippery conditions. Good work from Cameron. Oh, Ralph sold the dummy, then dropped the football. Bonza coming through strongly, unable to take possession on that occasion, and we'll see a ball up. Just quickly on Emily Bonza. Great story, Jono, for her to get her opportunity now with the West Coast Eagles after having no luck at all at Fremantle.
Yeah, after finding out you've done 2 ACLs is probably a bit hard, but all full credit to her. She's worked super hard over the last few years to get herself back. She's ripping fit, and she is ready to play AFLW.
Another chance for Swans, although Lowe comes into soccer. Sharp to help here for Swan Districts. Tried to struggle the tackle. Ball came out. Houghton was well tackled, driven into the ground. Umpire calling play on with all of these tackles. Hyde with an opportunity. About 45 out. Across the body. Laurie set up well. Top of the defensive goal square. Her hand pass puts Pugh under a bit of pressure, but she does nicely. Spins out of that trouble and then kicks long down the line, and Hongul takes a well-judged mark on the chest. The Tigers have done well there.
So what they've got next is a 2-on-1 down the field.
Yeah, they've broken down at this particular spot each time. Goodwin Wissink on a long lead from the forward line. Couldn't take the mark, and out the back it comes to Gibson again. Hooks her kick towards a hot spot about 35 out. Hyde tried to get into a move a bit early there, lost the footy. Pugh with a good tackle, holds it up, and we'll see a ball up. The umpire's certainly letting them play Degs early. Not much reward for tackles as yet.
Yeah, a couple there that you might have expected to go the way of the Tigers in the back 50, but everyone focusing keenly on the football at the moment, so umpires letting them play.
Bonza again, just tracking the football, not picking it up cleanly. Honjul, she'll do the same. Once she does pick it up, she's well tackled. He was peskered on that occasion. No Shannon Matthews down there too. We'll see a ball up directly in front of the Swans' goal. Laurie swats it away. Bowen reading it best. In the bright red boot, she feeds back the hand pass. Webb's kick was touched off hands. Orm has it. She's tackled and loses it, and she will be penalised. Gibson just getting a hand in there at the critical moment. Too far out to score for Gibson, so she sits it up. Houghton on the lead, judged it well. Just paused on her lead when the ball was sitting in the air, and then attacked at the last moment, taking on her chest. And this one would be right on the edge of her distance, kicking into the breeze. She kicked the first goal of the game at the 4-minute mark. And now about 5 or 6 minutes later, sends this one goalward. She struck it pretty well, but it fades away to the left and another behind. So that breeze looks as though it's pretty difficult to deal with down that end at the moment, Jono, but Swans would be well pleased with their start.
Yeah, absolutely. Just locking it in their forward 50, repeat entries. I don't really see how Claremont are going to get out here, but full credit for them to stopping them this far.
Well, Hongul's found a way. Charged out of the goal square, kicked long. Lewis couldn't take the mark, but there's plenty of blue and gold around. That was shut down well, though, by Ralph, who at least forces a stoppage, and we'll see a boundary throw-in. Ball really hasn't got past centre for Claremont as yet. Swans kicking into the breeze have set their field up nicely. Boundary umpire will come in the 10 metres.
Wow. 6. They don't like coming in, do they?
No, they don't. They take it as a little bit of a personal insult, but it's not actually designed for them. It's designed for the game. Good attack on it from Garstone there. Over the football is Davison.
Just made a note there. Garstone on Horton deep like that with a long, slow or high ball in. Can't be focused on the play. Has to track the footy. Did that time and was able to affect the intercept.
Warm opposed to Gibson. She's had her hands full early. Gets a soccer kick away, but straight to Kane. Her kick has some penetration on it. Cameron's out the back again against Hongul. Takes possession. Good chase from Hongul. Great second effort. Forced the errant kick and wins a free kick for her side. It's going to be a blood rule here as well. Hongul's got one right on the nose.
Wonder if that was in the earlier contest that you called, Reg, and that's just opened up again with that little backhander she copped just then. That's
going to take some stopping, that bleeding.
Wow. Didn't flinch though. It's a tough cookie, that one.
There's not a good day ever to cop one of those, but on a nice cold wet day like this at Bassendean, that's certainly not what you want. As Laurie goes down the line, does well. Second effort slapping it on. Eels with the high kick to the wing. They found a 2-on-2. Bella Lewis wearing Jasmine Stewart's jumper today. She's off to White. The hurried kick was read best by O'Driscoll. She copped a broken nose last time we were here back in round 1. Continued to play at the game. She's a tough cookie. Maguire, the other player added to the Eagles list, who is out here this afternoon. Hand passes back to O'Driscoll. She's at centre half back. A little fumble. Goodwin Wissink gets in the way. Through comes Cox. Clean pick up. Feeds the hand pass away, and Swans can get it towards the centre of the ground, although reading it well was low. And that's a good mark. Not too sure where to go. She kicks low and flat towards centre half forward. Goodwin Wissick playing in front. He's tackled. And a quick whistle from the man in green.
I could sit here quite happily and watch Goodwin Wissick and O'Driscoll go at each other all day. Two strong or two tough hombres.
They certainly go hard at it, that pair. In comes Roden Zimdale. She was upended by Stannett. Leah Ursig collects. Thought about the hand pass. Then her kick partly smothered. Zadnik tried to slap it on. Back to Leah Ursig. High kick. Dickey opposed to Maguire. It clears them. Cox is at the back here for Swans. Coming across Timmers. Does well to get a boot in there. Then tried to slap it away to Dickey. Or White it is on this occasion. Condipadero helps out for Swans. Floaty hand pass puts Osborne under pressure. She's tackled without the football though. And Lewis was just a little overzealous there, unfortunately for her. The ball had spilled away from Osborne.
Osborne quite smart there, knew the tackle was coming and just released a quick little handball and wins the free.
Had every right to tackle. Should have taken it skinny, too smart.
Kick down the line. Leah Ursig has better position at the back. Her hand pass a bit too hot for Smith and it slapped away beneath the scoreboard out of bounds.
What I mean by that is it was okay to assume that Osborne was going to take it, but Osborne was too smart to take it because he knew the tackle was coming.
Much better from Claremont here, winning a bit of field position, but just don't know where they're going to score. We'll just have to see if Dickey can come out on a lead or Amber G-Dub comes out as well and leads up and gets the ball out of this.
Scoreboard has 1-3-9. I've got 1-4-10 for Swans. They've peppered those goals. We'll wait and see at quarter time once the goal umpires get together and have a bit of a chat.
There was a bit of delay in putting the score up in the reserves game after a bit of a downpour of rain, so he might have missed one.
Well, it's a tough gig over there because the rain comes directly into your face, the man who's standing in that little open doorway. Free kick to Swans here.
That man quite often's been Sandover medalist Shane Barros. Looks a little taller than...
Yeah, it's not Barrow today. He's got a little packet of twisties he's eating at the moment as well, so maybe he was enjoying some of that. Missed one of the behinds. Claremont looking to go forward here towards half forward. Bowen is tackled. We'll see a ball up. Gives a fend off to Leah Ursig as well. Umpire doesn't waste any time. Gets the ball into motion. Strom. Her kick going backwards a couple of metres. Oh, nice attack from Roden Zimdale. Stole it off the hands of Kane. Kane comes a second time. Now she's tackled by Roden Zimdale. Good little one-on-one contest. The umpire calls it a draw. Not used to seeing Roden Zimdale wear 22. The games that I've seen her, she's been wearing number 3, but Adele Arnott has that Guernsey today. Swans with the clearing kick. Matthews with that shock of blonde hair attacking the footy. Smith dragged her off it well. And Claremont are enjoying a little bit of field position at the moment. They want a goal out of it though.
Even just to scrap one forward here, Jono, just to get one off the ground a couple of times and get it forward, just forcing the ball forward in these conditions, particularly where the ball is on the ground at the moment.
Bonza was bumped in the head there. Could have easily had a free kick in a good position for Claremont as well to set up some sort of attack. She goes the second time to tackle Bowen and the umpire will ball it up.
See this happen quite a lot. They teams get stuck at their half forward line. The game's kind of played between the archers. All it would take is one surge kick forward and it'd make it a little bit interesting.
So this time the high contact is paid.
Maguire in a great spot to intercept.
Zadnik chips it short. Strom's the one that does intercept in the end. The kick didn't have any penetration, gave Lewis no chance. And Mim Strom on loan from South, playing finals here for Swans. Her kick disappointing. Colgate will send it back inside the arc. Strom backing back. Can't take them up. Good pressure from Lewis. Lewis does all right. Gets slung out of it. Oh, that's deliberate. Just walking it over the line. And the umpire will penalise her. Not much doubt about that, I didn't think. Pescud had no real interest in keeping that ball in. Now, Paris
she's given
Laurie,
herself a tight angle.
I was going to say, she's gone tighter than she had to. Would have been okay to leave that for Lewis too.
Laurie chips to the top of the goal square. White is the target. It won't get to her. And Swans will clear. Pescud does well. Makes up for her error and then kicks a pass that hits Kane on the chest. And Swans, with a bit of composure, will get out of trouble. Bowen now.
Wouldn't have minded to see Paris Laurie just take the shot there. There's not a lot of time left in the quarter. Just have the shot, see if you can get a score on the board and allow the team to set up behind the footy.
Great mark from Cameron. Cameron will go long down the line. Antonio too strong for Garstone. Bit of experience showing there. Pops a hand pass over the top. Davison comes inside to Webb with her hand. Is there time for Swans to score? Hand pass goes towards half forward. Brooke Ursa gets in the way. And that's where it ends for Swan Districts on that passage. Some of the assistants charging downstairs, preparing to give some instruction to their players as the siren sounds to end a first quarter dominated by Swan Districts. They've done all the scoring. We'll check that score during the quarter time break. I believe it might be 1-4-10 to no score. Swan Districts with the better start into the breeze in the first quarter. They lead it by 10 points. Back with plenty more after these messages.
It's great to be back in the West. I've obviously been over in Sydney for a couple of years and to be home in the nice weather and even better in the blue and gold is fantastic. Yeah, I was an inaugural part of the Giants squad in the first year, so been over there for the last 3 years and I guess experienced what it's like to be part of a new team and building something from the ground. So we've got time now, we're in the competition, we can build towards something really special, and I think that comes off the back of the first couple of years and just creating somewhere that everyone wants to be and play some good footy.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
It's a high ball.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. They need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're lately in a hurdle. Well, I feel that day.
Welcome back to Steel Blue Oval. Swans and Claremont in the first semi-final. The first ever final in WAFLW, ahead of East Fremantle and Subiaco and having their little battle this afternoon. For the second semi, the winner of that game will go through the grand final. Today's winner continues on and makes the preliminary final. The loser, their season is over, so they can head into their end of season Mad Monday celebrations nice and early later this afternoon. Claremont at this stage are heading in that direction. They'll be looking to change that pretty quickly. They haven't scored as yet. Swans, their score is 1-4-10. It was corrected on the scoreboard during that quarter time break. Dave Lindsay alongside Emily Johnson and Clint Degerot. And Jono, really was Swans all the way in that first quarter, doing as they please.
Yeah, certainly. Just had the they just kept winning it out of the middle through Michaela Bowen, and then with Ebony Antonio and Gemma Houghton just leading up and providing a really strong target. And Claremont just couldn't get it out of their forward line, and then when they did, the Swans' backs were up for the task and just kept it out and didn't allow Claremont to get those deep entries inside forward 50.
Deggers, if you had the Claremont coaching cap on, what's the message to your players at the moment?
I think the message to the players is we've got to defend higher. So we've got to get the Tigers. You see the Swannies defend at the top of 50 and then have their rebounders or interceptors drop back to 30. The moment the Tigers are prepared to defend at 30, and it's too deep, it's too dangerous. Any mistakes are a goal or a shot. So they've got to come up and stop the ball in the box, defend the ball nice and high. It comes from our wings getting behind the football, and then obviously surge mentality. But I think it's time to have Paris Laurie on the footy too.
Yep. Jono, you've mentioned a number of times during the year that goal kicking's been an issue for Claremont. Not so much the conversion, just actually finding an avenue to goal. That's the 20th goalless quarter they've had this season, which is not a stat you want to have at all.
Definitely
and it's
not.
their 10th scoreless quarter. So they're positioned fourth on the table, and the longer this season's gone, they are shaping more and more like they are the fourth best team, and they're just a step or two behind that top three of Subiaco, East Fremantle and Swans, and we're seeing that again today. Yeah,
and even they didn't even take a shot in that quarter. Paris Laurie has the free kick not far out. She didn't even attempt to kick it. She just popped it. Quite happy to pop it at the top of screens. I think it's just that mentality of you want to score. You've got to get your forwards ball in hand and looking goalward, where I think Swans do that really well, where every time Antonio gets a hands on the footy, every time Gibson gets a hands on the footy, they're looking to score and they want to get goals on the board.
You have to mention how well the Tigers defend.
Yeah.
They're the pride of Tigerland, their defenders, because there was sort of 15, 16 forward 50 entries, and 9 of them in a row, and they only get one shot out of it each time. So the Tigers' defensive unit is one of the best defences, but statistically you can't prove it because they get scored against.
Claremont huddle breaking up. We saw the Swans huddle before, Deg, and we saw a very well-known personality from the WA Footy Commission wearing a very cool waffle retro cap. How do we get our hands on one of those?
I guess recent promotion from that said gentleman, Luke Sanders. I guess we have to get in his pocket early.
Maybe
because from here it looked the hat to have. Some other heavy hitters out there too.
Yeah, there's one just looking over your right-hand shoulder at the moment.
So he might be getting this message here how to get a cap.
No, might be keep it quiet. There's none coming your way. There we go.
Change for Claremont.
Jumper change. Hongel with
Hongel, yep.
The blood rule right across her
Now
face.
that message has been run to us by the executive manager of this competition.
That's how well this competition's run. So Brooke Hongel will be wearing 28 now. Plenty of blood spread across her face in that first quarter. It was an ugly incident for her. Kelly Gibson's in the middle there, providing a bit of space for a teammate. Stannett with the hurried kick, gets it forward, coming up to meet it. Nice piece of work from Davison. Her opponent stayed right off her. The kick goes towards centre half forward. Claremont in the way, though, through Lowe. Lowe does well, at least to clear the zone. For the time being, Stannett, a little soccer kick. She knows plenty about that game. Then once she picks it up, she's in trouble. The kick goes straight up in the air. Osborne tried to swat it forward, got some help from a teammate. Gibson cruising past, receives a hand pass. Swans have opened this up nicely. Houghton at the back with a good leap. Couldn't quite finish it off. It's a tough pair to beat down there for the Claremont defence. You've got Antonio sweating on it as well. Strong tackle applied from the forward line that time, coming from Swan Districts. It was Davison on Lewis, or on Smith rather. The umpire will call for a ball up.
Gibson again, just very clean off that contest on the far side, and again letting Swans get into their forward 50.
Kick coming out of defence, slipping right off the side of the boot for Claremont. Swans might be able to reload again. Strom's kick intercepted. Leah Ursig takes it away. Kicks to a one-on-one. Wide opposed to Osborne. It clears them. Up comes Brianna Hyde. Well tackled by Lewis. Spills it free. Claremont with a chance, though the fumble from Colgate will cause some issues for them. Hand pass goes back to Bonza. She's immediately tackled by Hyde. And the ball up will take place close to centre half forward. Jono, that fumble was just so critical, isn't it? Claremont had their opportunity to get out.
Yeah, I think that's the difference at the moment. Swans are very clean in the contest. You see there, Mara Cameron just grabs it out of there and then straight up forward.
Goal coming up here, although the kick from Michaela Hyde didn't have any elevation at all as the rain starts to fall again here at Bassendean. Hyde gives chase. She'll be first to it. Keeps it inside the arc. It's a good shepherd from a teammate. The kick goes towards full forward again. Out the back, Antonio. She's read this well. She'll go off the deck. And Swans have their second. And that's the start that they would have wanted, and certainly not Claremont. They look as though they're going to be camped in defence again here in the second term.
There was an attempt to defend high there, just the outside runner and Gibson was able to break that line. So I think the intent was there to take the challenge a little bit to the Swans to do some more work in the box. But once you release a player like Gibson to carry the ball into your forward 50, you're going to straight away be on the defensive side. So lucky that it took that long to actually score that goal, because Houghton, one more half little bite of that cherry and she'd been having a shot a lot earlier with a breeze over her shoulder. Clouds ominously moving in.
It's getting pretty dark and there is some light rain falling at the moment, but there could be some more on the way. I noticed that Scott Baker's come inside as well, so there must be plenty coming away to the from the west.
Just to mention, he came up with one coffee.
So back in the middle, Zadnik and Strom, as they have done throughout the afternoon so far. Strom wins it, Gibson first in. Zadnik did well with the second effort, but Swans will get the kick out of the middle. Good judgment from Michaela Hyde. Second bite takes the mark. She's got some space to work with now. Puts it out in front of Houghton. Keeps the ball in front. Pugh did well. Cameron comes across in front of her to make it a contest. Then a little toe poke. Claremont trying to work hard to get this out. Cameron's tackled again. Umpire calls play on. Might need to ball it up this time, and they will.
I was going to mention before, Cameron does all the little things. Like her body work today has been sensational. You see it when you go back over the tape, but just the attack on the football, then surging the ball forward, little smothers and bumps just to advantage her teammates. She's having a good game so far.
Bonza tries to emerge. She's caught holding the ball. They take it quickly. Webb plays onto advantage. It's touched on the line. Garstone does very well. A goal-saving stretch right on the line.
Interesting role for Laura Pugh today as well, playing a deeper back than she usually does. She usually is that release half back and provides a fair bit of run for Claremont. They might just be missing that at the moment.
On the way back out, Garstone's kick can't clear the zone, and it'll be Webb with another opportunity. She's got a couple of behinds to her name so far. Breeze at her back. She won't have a shot. She kicks to the top of the square, and reading it best is Garstone again. Really good learning opportunity for her today against Antonio. She was nudged out in one of the one-on-one contests earlier. She's won that one well. Nice roving here from Bonza. Clearing kick. White in better position. Osborne working with her every step of the way. Now, did that go out off the hands? It did. It's a throw in. True centre wing out of side. No brave souls out there enduring these conditions. They've all headed for cover. The boundary umpire comes in the distance required and the throw in. This time Laurie is in the ruck. She wins it down towards Colgate. Hand pass, couldn't find a teammate. Strom might have been shoved in the back by Valentini. She certainly held on to Bowen. Bowen stopped and looked at the umpire. Didn't get the free kick though. Colgate goes off the deck. Little soccer kick. Follows up and almost gets it back. But Gibson in the way again. Hand pass away to Bowen. Gave it off to Strom and then slipped over when she received. Orm front on with the tackle. Very physical. And Claremont at least get a stoppage in their attacking half.
Like a lion on a gazelle. Orm was just hiding in the bushes.
Waiting to pounce.
Colgate soccering off the deck, but her opponent had her hand on the football in Webb, and she'll get the free kick for kicking in danger. Wants to move it on quickly. Kicks dangerously in the middle of the ground. The Breeze catching hold of that, dragging it away from Condipadero. Brooke Urseg holds her body over the top of the football. Won't slap it out. Ball up just inside the front edge of the centre square.
I don't mind the umpires how they've kind of put the whistle away a bit, letting it flow rather than just stoppage after stoppage after stoppage.
Laurie wins it down. Nice bit of work to Valentini. Hurry kick forward. White can't quite get to it. It spills out the back. Dickey feeds a little hand pass away, but Osborne was awake to it. Snatched it away from White and then clears long and high out wide. Orm gives chase. Sharp just behind her. Orm keeps it in. Hand pass down the line, hoping for Dickey. The umpire spotted a free kick, though. High contact.
Orm was taken high there in the tackle. Just arm slipped up from Sharp.
Attempt to throw her over the fence too was probably drew the umpire's eye.
Looked like Orm gave her a few words as well as she went back to take the free kick. Kicks to a good position. White diving in, can't take it. And once she went to ground, that opened it up for Osborne, who kicks long and high into the middle of the ground. Great contest. Has it been paid? It has. Davison on the chest. Been very lively, Davison. Favours the outer side with her kick. Nicely done by Eels. Got front position. Cameron gave her a shove as well and then paid the mark. Short pass finds Bonza.
Look at the Swans run to fill those spaces.
Bonza's going to retreat. She'll go back to Eels. There's nothing on for the switch though. She's going to try to make it work. She kicks to Pugh in a one-on-one. Probably not the best option. And Cameron kicks to her own advantage. She's got some pace. She might soccer again here. Goal square's open. No, she bends down and picks it up. Sends it goalward. But never gave it much of a chance. Sending it out to the right. And it's gone out of bounds on the full.
How's the clean pickup from Cameron there? Pretty clean on a wet day. That's fascinating.
I thought she might have just gone soccer into the goal square and no one would have caught her. So decided to pick it up instead.
Looked like the tank was getting empty. I don't know how many more sprints she had in her.
Been one of the better players in the first half.
Well, that would have been on the highlight reel for the rest of her life. How did she kick that?
So Garstone with the free kick again for the Tigers. Doing a lot of work deep in defence. Makes good contact with this one into the breeze. Ralph in front. Couldn't quite drag it in. Davison again. About to be tackled. Bundles a kick down the line. Houghton makes the step move on Garstone and then centres it beautifully back to Cameron. Could have easily blazed away. Instead, she spotted Cameron all alone, 35 out directly in front. So Cameron to line up. Hasn't hit the scoreboard just yet. Passed a couple off, kicking into the breeze from similar distance in the first quarter. Now with the breeze at her back. Should have the distance within her. Gee, she's hit it well. That's a great kick. Goal umpire doesn't move.
Nor did Cameron.
Fantastic effort. Swans stretch their lead.
It's like when you roll the ball for a strike at the laneway, just hit it and turn your back on it. Wonderful strike. Claremont defended well there. It's a really intelligent kick from Houghton. How many players would you have seen, male or female football, pull the ball back to 35 like that with such instinct? So and nail her too against the breeze. So wonderful team play by the Swan Districts Footy Club.
It's probably not the strangest thing to say that she's almost the most improved player in the comp, Gemma Houghton. From where she's come from, I know probably not just this year, but the last year or two, the improvement has been quite remarkable.
Davison was playing community football for Naranda last year and is in an elimination final on the league side in 2019. So I think Davison and Houghton, for me, have had wonderful seasons.
There's some good stories out there. Harnett for Claremont with the Socko off the deck. Condipadero off the wing, couldn't take it. Ralph does well, pushing the back. Goes the way of Stannett, just behind the plate. Spent a fair bit of time with the Perth Glory. Now, making her name as a footballer. Kicks long and gets over the back of the pack. Webb will run onto the loose football. Plenty of space inside 50 again for Swans. The kick goes in the Houghton direction, but the breeze catches hold of that and it skids away. And going out of play on the bounce inside 50 means we'll have a boundary throw-in rather than a free kick.
Well, Webb's one of those players in a debut year as well, player from a soccer background. Mim Strom's out there. Isabella Lewis in her first season of senior football.
And then you've got Jess Eels. I think she's got a netball background. Jess Lowe as well, playing just a second or third year of football from an amateur club as well. So great to see these girls getting the opportunities.
Swans will go inside 50 again. Stannett's kick skids past a number of players. At the back, the hand pass goes astray from Eels. Socket off the deck into the post. Swans almost snatching another goal. So the lead out to an even 4 goals now for Swan Districts. Claremont have to hang on here. Just past the midway point of this second term. That kick not the best from Garstone as it slides off the outside of the boot. It won't quite reach the boundary. Antonio gets there first, tackled by Roden Zimdale, who doesn't mind fighting out of her weight division and does well. So the boundary umpire coming in to do the throw-in. That's Madison Streeton. We always like to keep a track of the goal umpires and the boundary umpires here. We'll toss it back in.
Good throw. Was pretty happy to come in the 10.
Laurie wins it down to Honjul, wearing that new jumper and also a headband after losing a bit of blood in the first quarter. Never afraid to put her body on the line. She'll go again here. Nice pick up in the wet conditions. Hand pass didn't go too far. Bowen dives in on top and the umpire will be called upon to separate them once more.
They're doing well to avoid that little puddle there.
Yeah.
He did say, we did challenge you to mention the puddles. That's one.
Webb goes short. Kick was intended for Bowen. I'm not sure Bowen realised that. Condipadero has it. Good tackle from Brooke Urseg on this occasion. Oh, Matthews has a head just about ripped off. Head down over the top of the football. The tackle was a bit untidy. And the free kick will go the way of Matthews directly in front. Pretty much the same spot that Cameron scored from earlier in the quarter.
Like an English family having a picnic by the shore.
Take your word for it. With the puddles.
With the puddles. Just playing on the edge of the puddle. Didn't go in. Whether not that enticing for a swim.
I did see a little girl, probably about 3 years old, with the gumboots on in between the two games today.
And she'll have 1.5 litres of water inside those gumboots too.
Matthews won't quite have the carry. It comes off hands. Swans trying to engineer a snap on goal. Smith was having none of it. Great tackle. Ball up just outside the goal square. It'll be Laurie opposed to Houghton. They miss each other as they went body on body. Trying to work her way through some congestion. And tackled is Davison. And the free kick will go the way of Arnott in defence for the Tigers.
Just no out here. Swans have got a loose player in Ange Stannett, just patrolling the 50 and she'll just be behind this ball.
Yeah, and as a result, the kick drops
distance.
short, doesn't it? Chopped off by Michaela Hyde, who centres to her mate Bowen. And directly in front, Bowen, the star recruit for the West Coast Eagles for the next AFLW season. Give herself every opportunity of converting from here.
First ever Eagle.
Yeah, that's right. She's got the bright red boots on. Normally people who put those sort of boots on can kick a footy. Good confident approach. Strikes it well. Goal umpire does a little bit of dancing, but it's another goal for Swans. Bowen adds her name to the goal kicking list alongside Houghton, Antonio and Cameron.
WA State 18 side. It's captain and played 3 years with that group, being drafted pretty much before the 18s program started in 2019. It's a wonderful story. She's a hard-working footballer, happy to fight out of her weight category, skilled, tenacious, gets that ball going forward and has an absolute thirst for running.
There's a fleet of under-18s players in there out there today, particularly the Swans side. And as you mentioned, they're playing finals football and they're one step closer to a grand final at the moment. The way things are shaping up, they've just about been the form team of the competition in the last month. I don't think either of Subiaco or East Fremantle would go into a preliminary final against them next week with any great confidence. So there's plenty to play for in that match later on today. That match starting at 3 o'clock. Still over a half to go in this one. Can Claremont find their way back into this contest? Ralph leads in the race for the footy, being hassled by Bonza. The umpire said she got into her back. And so Ralph will take the free kick. Has Bowen square, so kicks in that direction, and now Bowen has some space. They've opened up a loose player. The hand pass goes back to Ralph. She'll go straight down the middle. Reading it well again, Davison. Smith's allowed her to go to the footy a couple of times in this quarter, and Davison's more than happy to do just that. And the delivery to the chest of Houghton was superb. That's a community football for you, Digger. Just a year ago, and now she's playing WAFL Women's Finals and doing a very good job in that.
That one will make the highlight reel, but she's actually dropped the ball into that space with almost every kick she's had. She's advantaged her forward. She doesn't kick the ball too hard. She's prepared to drop it into that space.
Houghton kicking for her second. She makes a pretty good fist of this as well. Strikes it beautifully. And as the rain starts to absolutely bucket down here at Steel Blue Oval, Swans' lead is out to 36 points.
Claremont just need to win one out of the middle here. I think they're getting smashed in the midfield, and I think they've won maybe one or two clearances, so they need to find a way to get in the middle just to kind of salvage some kind of score and salvage some sort of game here as well.
The last effort to surge that ball forward, unfortunately, just a little free kick as they were about to break the back of the box for the first time this quarter. So hopefully that same mentality, head and shoulders over the footy and try to shovel the ball forward.
It's one of the darkest clouds you'll ever see passes over the top of Steel Blue Oval.
Sunglasses back in their case.
Yeah, no need for them today. Lana Dickey coming into the centre square. Some of the forwards for Claremont wouldn't mind getting into the centre square just to see a bit of football at the moment, but Gibson's having none of it. Kick on the opposite side of her body. Gains some ground. Roden Zimdale slips over in one of the puddles. Gibson, she might be tackled and thrown to ground in the next one. She went to ground, no free kick for her. Here's Dickey being hassled by Matthews. Sliding in on her knees, trying to get a hand pass away as the rain gets even heavier, would you believe? And we'll see a ball up.
Swans doing their work really early. So on that break there, Strom was sprinting immediately and was able to go and add support to that contest. So at the moment, Claremont is a little reactive, where the Swans are doing their work immediately.
Hongle does well. Torrential rain kicks towards Lewis. Brianna Hyde wearing her very closely. Sharp looked at Hyde and Hyde looked at Sharp. So Sharp socked to the boundary. As a result, we'll see a throw in. Would have thought that might have been a free kick last possession. Does that not count for Sockers?
Well, Isabella Lewis just tracked the football so well there that she put pressure on both those Swans players. She wasn't prepared to engage in anybody. She just wanted the ball.
Rain now coming in sideways as that boundary throw in gets dragged away by the breeze as well. Hongle, a little fumble this time, then got a shove in the back. Umpire didn't notice that one. Cameron, accidental soccer in the wrong direction. Bonza, toe poke into space. Smith gives chase. Tackled immediately by Cameron. And did very well there. She came at her with a real head of speed up and did not get into the back of her opponent. Spun her around well. Didn't give away the free kick. Earns a ball up instead. And the rain virtually stops almost immediately. Sliding in low, Arnott. Solid contact from Stannett. Doing well there was Bonza. Tackled. Loses the football. And that's it for the second quarter. Another very good quarter from Swan Districts. They kicked 4 goals in that term. Claremont still scoreless. Swans by 36 points. We're at halftime here in the first semi-final. Swan Districts appear headed towards the preliminary final next weekend.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
It's a high ball. Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're lately in a hurdle. Well, I feel that day.
It's great to be back in the West. I've obviously been over in Sydney for a couple of years and to be home in the nice weather and even better in the blue and gold is fantastic. Yeah, I was an inaugural part of the Giants squad in the first year, so been over there for the last 3 years and I guess experienced what it's like to be part of a new team and building something from the ground. So we've got time now, we're in the competition, we can build towards something really special, and I think that comes off the back of the first couple of years and just creating somewhere that everyone wants to be and play some good footy.
Half-time in the first semi-final. Some highlights here from that first half. Dave Lindsay alongside Emily Johnson and Clint Egerbrot in commentary. And this is when it was a little bit drier because it's been absolutely teeming down during that last commercial break. We couldn't see the ground. Probably a good time for the girls to get off the field. But at the half-time break, Swans lead at 5-6-36 to no score. And Jono, it's very hard to see how Claremont can get back into this game, particularly with those twin towers up forward in Antonio and Houghton going so well for Swans.
Yeah, I think the key is they got to stop being so defensive, and they actually need to roll the dice and take the game on, win the ball out of the middle, get the ball moving forward, and really try and score and try and attack. It's a pretty strong breeze that they'll be kicking with, so they need to take advantage of that and get the ball moving forward.
Deggers, Swans came into this match with a very clear game plan, and they've been able to execute it without any trouble at all.
They have, and not only that, I think the quarter-time speech or the quarter-time direction from Juddy was clearly to get the ball closer to goal to take their shots, because they've tidied up their shot ratios now too, which is very dangerous. 1 goal 4, now 5 goals 6. So they're now taking shots from 20 and 30 metres out instead of 45 and 50.
And those shots are directly in front. There's no angles on them. They're leading to the right spots, and the ball's getting there. They're just opening that hole up for their forwards to run into.
Yeah, Claremont's defence a little pulled apart in terms of where to stand to defend. I think a lot of it's got to be at the coalface. You must get in the face of the ball carrier, and then obviously 1v1 with a ball focus.
Normally in finals, particularly a top 4 final series, the top 2 have that double chance and they've earned the right. They're first and second on the ladder, but Swans look as dangerous, Jono, as any team in this top 4. And I mentioned it during the call, Subi and East Fremantle have so much to play for this afternoon. It's not just a spot in the grand final that's guaranteed. It's the fact that you don't have to face Swans next week, because they're going to be very hard to beat in a preliminary final.
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, their first half of the season, they just rotated their AFLW players and rested them a bit so they could gear up. So as they come into this finals campaign, they're on a bit of a hot streak. They haven't lost a game in a month.
It's the team that people are talking about.
And they're ready to go, yeah.
Subiaco, it's hard to go past Subiaco because of what they've been able to do this season and where they sit, and their pathway's a little easier. They've got to get over East Fremantle today. But most people are talking about how well timed the return of their key players are fresh. Which of course is part of leading into pre-season for the AFLW competition, but also to be cherry ripe for this final series.
And it's not just the big AFLW players either. You've spoken a lot about Sinead Davison, who's brand new to football, really. She's been a star out there today. We've got a number of the 18s girls that have also been mentioned. Both the Hyde girls have done some good things today out there as well. And Bianca Webb's played some good footy this afternoon. Mim Strom's another one who we know is most likely going to be drafted pretty early in the next AFLW draft as well. She's on loan from South Fremantle, but Swans would be very happy to have her out here this afternoon.
Absolutely. I think that's the difference at the moment is the alsos from Claremont. The good players that aren't listed are not quite stepped up to where they need to be at the moment, whereas the balance across the board for the Mighty Ducks is is that their non-AFLW listed players are dominating the game of footy.
Well, finals footy's always an exciting time of the year, especially for the competing clubs. We recently caught up with some of the players from each of the WAFLW clubs playing finals this weekend to hear their thoughts on the inaugural Optus WAFLW Finals Series.
It's going to be really exciting, I think, especially with the new league this season, the new structure. It's going to mean a lot because the competition's been a lot stronger this year. We've got some new youth girls coming through as well, so to see the talent carry us through and to end up in the finals is really exciting.
We're really focused and driven to play finals, and obviously to pay this historic WAFLW competition, it's great to be here. Being here today just kind of gets me a little bit excited, hairs on the back of my neck, ready to play finals, and it's amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's really special. I think being the first time, so the inaugural season, is exciting for everyone.
I think it's amazing to be a part of it. I mean, female football is growing year by year, and the fact that we can kind of headline that and be part of the first season, it's really special. The prospect of playing the grand final here is really, really exciting. Yeah, the facility is amazing.
I think Swans are starting to really peak now, and they've got a very fast forward line.
It's hard to say. I know Subi on top of the ladder, but I think our biggest threat is probably Freo.
I mean, Swannies and East are both really strong, and if you don't play full quarters of football against them, you're going to pay for it. Really tough one. We've got some really strong teams this season, but I think as always, probably Subi. They've got a really strong midfield, and that's where we always fight it out with them.
Yes, the inaugural WAFLW Final Series.
Forlorn pictures.
Look at that. There's no one out there, and it's half time, and that's why there's no one on the field, but there's certainly no one going to brave these conditions out on that grass bank, which is normally a great place to watch footy at Bassendean Oval. Here is the finals matrix, the way that it works out. We've got Subiaco and East Fremantle playing later today, a 3:30 start for that one at Leederville Oval. That ground will be underwater as well, knowing how Leederville takes the water in this sort of weather conditions. And of course, this match we're watching at the moment, Swans and Claremont. So the winner of this one progresses on to take on the loser of the Lions and the Sharks. The winner of that one goes directly to the grand final, which is played at Mineral Resources Park, or Lathlane Park. Grand final day, and of course that broadcast will be live on Channel 7. Very exciting for WAFLW to be on the main channel of Channel 7. I think it'll be as a lead into one of the AFL finals, which is exceptionally exciting for all the girls involved and their families, and anyone who decides that they can't make it out to Mineral Resources Park, Jono, will be able to park themselves on the couch and enjoy a fantastic game of footy live on Channel 7.
Yeah, certainly, and if hopefully the weather's not anything like it is today, but I'm sure you get a few people tuning in out of interest's sake, and considering the amount of media attention the competition's been getting, and as we saw in that package there, hopefully there'll be a few people down. There was certainly a lot of people there last year, but even better now that it's...
I thought you were going to bring up yesterday. I thought that was your lead.
It's a good segue.
Okay, so Jono hasn't mentioned that she's a premiership, A-grade amateurs premiership player. Wasn't yesterday morning. Woke up this morning at an amateurs Perth Football League A-grade.
Woke up this morning with a medal around her neck and still wearing it now.
He's wearing it in the box. So
never commentated with someone wearing a medal around their neck before.
I'm not taking this thing off. Could never happen again.
So I assume you talked about Mad Monday. The female football Mad Mondays are the best because you don't roll from a game into it.
Yep.
They're organised. They're scheduled.
Yeah.
Everything from, because a lot of shift workers in female football and some mothers too that have to be really well planned.
They're often Saturdays as well. They're a silly Saturday rather than a Mad Monday.
And it's booked in the calendar, and the venues are booked, and everything's organised. They are some of the most sensational afternoons that you can be a witness to or a part of. I was lucky enough to do one with the Ducks, unfortunately, after a grand final loss. But the most organised shenanigans you've ever seen in your life.
Very good.
So I imagine Jono's doing that this afternoon.
Yeah, that'll be following on from here. Time for us to take a break. Swans lead it by 36 points at half time on the other side of this break. Third quarter action here from Steel Blue Oval.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
There's a high ball. Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia creeper, well, didn't want to keep her, just maybe for a while. You're the lady in a hurdle. Well, I feel that day.
It's great to be back in the West. I've obviously been over in Sydney for a couple of years, and to be home in the nice weather and even better in the blue and gold is fantastic. Yeah, I was an inaugural part of the Giants squad in the first year, so been over there for the last 3 years and I guess experienced what it's like to be part of a new team and building something from the ground. So we've got time now, we're in the competition, we can build towards something really special, and I think that comes off the back of the first couple of years and just creating somewhere that everyone wants to be and play some good footy.
Back here at Steel Blue Oval, and let's have a look at this condition of the ground now after the halftime storm that's rolled through. Not flash.
Jono is our resident puddle expert. She's been tasked with talking about puddles.
And I do think there's less puddles on the ground because they've all combined to make one massive puddle.
Now we can definitely have a picnic by the shore. Not the weather for the blanket and the sandwiches.
No.
Wet bread is not edible. You can't even toast that back into...
No, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone once it's wet. Anyway, that's a science thing. That's for a different show. As the ducks come back under the ground.
Through a few of those puddles they go as they step out onto Steel Blue Oval. Emily Johnson, Clint Daggerott and Dave Lindsay, your commentary team here this afternoon. They'll go into a tight huddle. And I imagine the message, Jono, would be more of the same.
Yeah, Swans are just dominating the game. They're winning it in the middle, getting the ball forward. And as Deggers alluded to, they just... that deeper, they want to get the ball deeper in their forward line where they can actually take shots from and put some pressure on the scoreboard, which they've managed to do. Kick very straight in that second quarter.
Yeah, 5-6 plays no score at half time, and Swans have been fantastic after half time this year. In all of their games, they've been the best final quarter team in the whole competition. Their third quarters aren't too shabby either, so it's all set up here for Swan District's Deggers. Pretty tough to see what Claremont can do, but we want to see them play a bit of their own game style here in the second half, don't we?
It's a modern cliche, unfortunately, but it's risk losing the game by 15 goals to get 5 or 6 on the board and take something into the off-season. I mean, it's not beyond a win here for the Tigers. It's just when we be realistic about the score lines, the time and the opposition, it's going to be very difficult for them to win, certainly. They are going to be able to push the Swans as hard as they can. They've got the cattle for it. They've got the team across the board. They just have to have their best players with first hands on the footy. You've got Bonza in the middle here, and she's just got to get a clearance and work the ball forward.
She's tried hard all day, Emily Bonza. Hasn't found much clean football today, unfortunately, but these conditions are pretty tough, and they've only got worse since the start of the game. There's still some rain falling out there. Strong breeze favouring Claremont in this third quarter. As the umpire surveys the ground to check that everyone's ready to go. And away we go. Paris Laurie will start in the ruck this time. She's been playing in positions outside of the centre square for most of this match so far. There's Bonza. Feeds a hand pass away to Dickey, who's also starting the quarter inside the centre square. Ball to the outer side. Sharp is there. Dragged off the footy. No free kick. Play on's the call. Laurie does well. Feeds it away to Bonza. Claremont. Chance to go inside 50. Colgate on the lead up against the boundary. Wants to give it back. Hand pass to Timmers puts her under pressure, and her kick, as a result, goes out of bounds on the full. But at least, Jono, we saw a bit of flow in the Claremont game there.
Yeah, certainly positive sides. A good handball out from Laurie to Bonza on the run as well. I think we want to see more of that. They got to step up and
the attack on the
give them a
footy by
chance.
Goodwin Whistle was solid too.
Yeah, it came from nowhere.
Set up beautifully too. Dickey running off the back with Bonza. That's obviously a plan that they've got. So if they can keep it in.
So the kick back into play from Swans. Orm works her way around that pack. Centering kick. Top of the 50. Over the football was O'Driscoll. Might have been dragged off it. In there too, Timmers. And we'll see a ball up.
Claremont in a dangerous position here, but they just need to get that one kick that goes forward inside 30 here.
So scoreless as yet, the Tigers, but the ball right in their attacking end. Orm has it, and she takes the mark, charges away. A tidy-looking kick bounces all the way towards the behind post, and we'll see a stoppage deep in attack for the Tigers.
Good signs. We need some windscreen wipers on these.
We do.
It's real trouble here. I'm starting to feel about 100 years old because everything is blurry. In front, really good intent from the Tigers, set up behind the ball really well as well. And they've actually got some field control here now too behind this kick.
You asked for windscreen wipers, you got lollies. It's not a bad trade-off. The lollies arrive from the Claremont support staff. Great support from the Tigers for us. Good support there from Kate Orm for her forwards. We've almost been rewarded there. Claremont coaches box next to us seem to agree with that. Bonzo unfortunately couldn't handle that one cleanly. Stannett kept her feet well. The kick partly smothered. Strong work from Swan Districts from Cameron. The umpire says too strong and illegal into the back. Free kick to be taken by Smith. Sends her kick long and low, sliding in. Zadnik couldn't quite finish off the mark. Maguire met solidly, knocked over. Very close to the boundary. It'll stay in for the time being at least. A good tackle applied this time by Zadnik.
Bonza's just hit the deck there. I think that contact with Emma Maguire just got a hit right on the hip and she's just folded over, but she has got back up and she's moving again, so hopefully she's okay.
That'd be a concern for the Eagles. They've signed both of them during the week and they're taking each other out. Claremont with half a chance here. White soccers it into space. Good speed shown by Kane to win the race to the football, and then the high tackle from White gives Swans a chance to get out of trouble. Been a frustrating day for White. I'm sure when she woke up this morning and saw the weather, she probably wouldn't have had a smile on her face, and then as it is, the ball hasn't spent much of the time down in the Claremont attacking 50 anyway. Garstone, little hand pass. Roden Zimzar was dragged off her kick. And now Strom, her hurried kick. Dickey sliding in, couldn't take the mark. Antonio dives into the puddle. She's stopped in her efforts to get the ball out. Smith lying on top of the ball, right in the middle of that puddle. And we'll see a ball up.
It's clearly going to be slippery underfoot there, but obviously that's like ice because players... Dickey just put her heel down and went over. And Antonio slid quite a distance along the ground there with just a little bit of body pressure.
A couple of the State 18s go at it hard against each other. They're in Bowen and Smith. Bonza always puts her body on the line, wins that possession, kicks it along the ground towards attacking 50. Good attack from White. Ambitious attempt to pick it up in the one hand in these conditions. Then she's dragged off the football by Maguire. She'll get the free kick this time. She should be able to put Claremont deep into attack.
I do like that from White. If you've got your hands on the ground, the opposition can't soccer it out. So trying to pick the ball up, you are going to pick it up or you're going to force the free kick.
Ball spills out the back towards the top of the goal square. Sharp leads in the race, but there was a little tug on the jumper of Colgate. And she goes and retrieves the football because it's her free kick and Claremont should score here. Breeze at the back of Chloe Colgate. She'll have a shot from 25 out, slight angle. So a bit of time with the ball locked in Claremont's attacking 50. And as a result, they've engineered a shot on goal as the Sun tries to break through here for the first time at Steel Blue Oval. Colgate puts Claremont on the scoreboard for the first time today with a goal. Good reward for the Tigers. They put in a lot of effort there in the first couple of minutes of this quarter.
Yeah, they're first of the footy. So not many free kicks to half time, and they've got 4 now in this. I think 3 of them in this quarter.
Just because they're first of the footy.
Don't want to commentate free kicks. It's not an interesting part of the game, but just to show the measure of their intent. They're first. They're in front. They're working hard, and then you get the reward. You get looked after. You both get possessions, and then if anything's there to be given away for free, it'll be you. So wonderful work, and the intent is definitely there. Full rev up from Andrew De Loretta at half time, I'd imagine.
I would imagine the man bun flopping around at halftime.
He's standing boundary side.
He's
in a whole heap of mud. hasn't got the best shoes on today, I don't think. Standing arms folded, watching his side on. Be pretty happy with their efforts in the first 5 minutes of this third quarter after a disappointing first half. So Strom and Laurie to contest this centre ball up. Laurie slaps it forward for Claremont. It lands in the mud. Socket off the deck by Arnott. Gets it to half forward. White used the body well on Maguire. Gets back to the footy first. Kicks long towards full forward. Zadnik coming out of the square. Trapped it well. Osborne trapped her well as well, though. The hand pass comes out towards Timmers. She loses it to O'Driscoll. Under pressure, the hand pass comes back to Brianna Hyde. Her hand pass goes astray, and Claremont are up and about.
Much better. Just Adele Arnott knew she didn't have time to pick up the ball, so just sockers it off the deck, and Brooke White just worked her opposition underneath it and, again, got it forward.
The rain has eased up for the moment at least. It's still falling, but not too heavy. Colgate, who has the only goal for Claremont, couldn't take clean possession with a hurried kick coming out of defence from Strom, straight down the throat of Leah Ursig. Too far out to score, even with the wind at her back. She kicks to the pocket. Osborne stands and waits. Good contest from Colgate. Knocked her over. Jarred the footy free. The kick from White ricochets off the shin of a Swans player. Bonza goes down to collect it. Again, she wants to take Gibson on. And Gibson, I reckon's caught her probably 3 times today. And that's holding the ball again. Gibson's quick kick. Condipadero had it slip through her fingers. Bowen gets down low to collect and then works her way through some heavy traffic. Hand pass away to Cameron. Well tackled. I think Laurie it is who's wrapped her up. And we'll see a ball up. Close to the boundary.
Having a look at the condition that Kelly Gibson's in. She's been in the weights room throughout the season. She's built a lot of strength and she's using that really well today.
Cameron with a couple of soccer kicks trying to clear the congestion. Doesn't get too far. Zadnik tackled and loses the football. Now she's almost sitting on it. In goes Bonza. She can't get it out of that congested area either. And we'll see another ball up.
For the first time you see, well, you can't see on the screen, but Claremont have squeezed the Swans right up the ground now. So the shoes on the other foot, which is what Claremont did in the games they've won and played really, really well. They've rounded up the opposition. They've had a good perimeter defence. Kate Ormes led that for most of the season. She's up on a wing with her hands full with Sharp at the moment. But it's nice to see Hongel now as the anchor, just setting up that play, walking the Swans up the ground.
Strom with the ruck work. Bowen with the spin. Did brilliantly. Gives it off to Gibson. Promising build-up here from Swan Districts. Hongel worked off the football by Davison. Smith collects. Good hand pass back to Lowe, who always works her way through some heavy traffic nicely. Good kick to half forward. White has the footy. She's met solidly front on. And Claremont's rebound defence working quite well.
Defending a lot higher. That was the match-saving, goal-saving defence, but it's 70 metres out instead of 30.
Back into motion, the footy. Diving in on top of it, Bonza. Now she's tackled. The umpire with a quick whistle will ball it up. The rucks go at it again. Zadnik doing the ruck work for Claremont this time. Arnott slaps it out into space. O'Driscoll read it well. Intercepted and then hand passed away to Bowen. High kick into the middle of the ground. Comes off the hands of Smith and also Cameron. Hongel rebounding from the wing position this time. Her kick into space in front of Timmers. We haven't seen a lot of Timmers so far, but her collect there was good. The hurried kick forward. Osborne getting to it first, playing in front of Lewis. Takes the sliding mark. So Swans under pressure for the first time today. Not so much on the scoreboard, but certainly in the way the footy's being played in this third quarter. And the kick from Osborne doesn't hit the target. Valentini has it. Kicks into the centre corridor. Brooke Ursig waiting down. Goodwin Wissick makes a good contest. She's tackled. And they earn another stoppage inside 50. Cox doing the tackling that time. Some good signs here for Claremont. They'd love to sneak another goal or two here. Smith doing the ruck against Ralph. Ball bobbles around. Cox is tackled by 2 Tigers. And Claremont are refusing to let this ball come out easily. Smith with an old style run up for the ruck. Wins possession. Kicks towards full forward. Osborne stood her ground well. O'Driscoll does exceptionally well coming from behind there to win possession. Osborne with a bit of help. Brianna Hyde's kick charged down by Timmers. And then Hyde follows up with a tackle. But 3 or 4 efforts in a row here, Jono, from the Claremont forwards, and they're not giving this ball away.
No, they need some reward for their efforts here. They just need to generate a shot on goal, try and find something out of this stoppage. A nice quick kick.
Ralph and Smith again in this contest. Down to Hyde, or Bowen it is this time, tackled by Colgate. Another stoppage forced.
Pretty careful with Bowen around the puddles too.
She a good swimmer.
Arnott down to Colgate. The hurried kick forward. Osborne couldn't take it. Lewis just worked off it well by Osborne. Almost the fend off without the football there. Osborne just protecting a bit of space. Clearing kick. Walking it over the line is Gibson.
Worried more about the depth of the puddles.
I think the deeper ones are over on our wing, aren't they?
Yeah, we're worried about a couple of players from either side when they get to this side of the ground. But playing in the best area of the ground, both sides, very clever.
Tossed back in. It spills over the back. Off the deck goes Condipidero. Matthews playing in front of Zadnik. Brooke Ursig holds it up. It's been 3 or 4 minutes locked inside probably 60 metres of Claremont's goal.
And they've managed to squeeze Swans. Every Swans player is within 60 metres of this ball.
Bowen sliding in, jumped to her feet, tackled by Goodwin Wissink. Another ball up. In fact, it was Timmers that time. Ralph leaping with the feet up in the air on that occasion. Coming through Stannett, feeding it back to Condipidero. Kicks to a very dangerous position. Claremont can swoop onto this football. Prokursek couldn't collect it. Hurried kick from Osborne was blocked. Low, couldn't find space this time. Swans win it. Stannett charges through the pack. Kicks to the wing. Smith had space initially. Now she's got problems. Pugh couldn't quite protect her the way that she would have wanted to. And Swans have made some ground up the field and force a stoppage. Houghton very strong in that contest. Ball up on the wing. It's really become a territory game in this third quarter in these conditions. See if you can gain 30 or 40 metres. Reset there. Another stoppage. Ralph goes over the top of her opponent. We might see another ball up. So conditions just improving a little bit from what we've seen earlier this quarter. The worst of it probably came during the halftime break, to be honest. Hongle sidestepped her way through some traffic, bundled the kick along the ground. Condipidero collects, gets away from Timmers easily, and then straightens up onto her right boot. Houghton up in front, did okay. Antonio at the back collects, wants to give it back to Houghton. Socket off the deck by Claremont into the middle of the ground. They'll go again from ground level. Smith gaining 10 metres. That ball almost thrown in the air. The umpire says it was. Free kick will go to Timmers. She's been getting involved in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Again, Swans able to hold things up. Kane did well just to delay the play on the mark. Now Timmers doesn't have much to go to. She aims her kick out wide. Attacking it well was Ralph. Matthews there to support for Swans. The ball spills into space. Matthews onto it first. Soccer kick went straight into the lap of Davison. Zadnik followed up with a good strong tackle. They fight another draw. And we're back where we started, Deckers. Another ball up on the wing.
Oh, Michaela Bowen there got the kick off the ground in their hands. Was surprised by that and was equally surprised by the attack by Zadnik. Claremont fighting well. Surging, trying to get territory.
Zadnik with possession from the ruck. The kick to the centre-half forward position. White, opposed to a couple of Swans. She won't get the ball out of there.
There's still good intent by both sides to keep their feet in these contests. They're actually trying to keep the ball alive. It's just the pressure of their opponents that are bringing them to the ground.
A lot of players around this footy. Getting down low and winning that well there for Claremont was Brooke Ursig. The kick forward, and it's Osborne leading her opponent to the footy again, sliding in like a baseballer towards third base. Kicks across the ground. Cox near the biggest puddle on the ground. Can't collect. Has support from Stannett. And that's a good kick. Just chipped into space. Antonio runs onto it. Aimed the torpedo. Didn't quite get onto it. Houghton opposed to Garstone. Neither get possession of the football. Sharp with a little back heel into the lap of Matthews. She's tackled by Garstone. Thrown to ground. Ball up. So the ball has been moved to our broadcast side wing, where most of the bigger puddles are. Ralph winning in the ruck. Socket back into the middle. Roden Zimdale there for Claremont. Sliding through was Arnott. Lost total control of her body there. Valentini is tackled by Matthews. As Strom charges back onto the field. She wants to be involved in this ruck contest. There's 3 or 4 Tigers trying to throw their hand up to contest here against Strom. One of those is Smith, who wins in the ruck, but she's given away a free kick. So Strom will take it, and Swans will go inside 50 just about for the first time in this quarter. Hongul attack that in the air. Tough one to mark in the hands in these conditions. Good hand pass from Davison. Gets it away to Matthews. Kicks towards Houghton. The spoil from Garstone was good. Good follow-up from Houghton and also Michaela Hyde. They force a stoppage at the top of their goal square.
Well done from Garstone and Jess Lowe there. There was 4 Swans players converging on that. Sorry, we just had 2 Claremont players, so well done to stop them there.
Antonio flicks it out the back. Hongul couldn't take clean possession. Follows up well. Matthews sitting on top of the football. Another ball up. So Swans have finally managed to find a bit of field position. Here's Dickey clearing for Claremont. Ball bounces away from Roden Zimdale. She goes back and gets it. Does well. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Pescott in the way. Couldn't take it. Laurie, was she being held? She was. Held by the arm. Free kick to Claremont just backward of centre. Inside the last minute and a half of this quarter. Claremont will need to get this going quickly if they are to score before the 3/4 time break. Give themselves a chance of producing a remarkable comeback. Probably need to do that. Laurie was aiming for a torpedo. That didn't come off. And Bowen takes the mark. And perhaps it's Swans with the late chance to score. Gibson has some space on the wing. Antonio, the next link in the chain. Danger times here for Claremont. Antonio wants someone to lead at her. Hyde does that. The kick bounces out in front of Michaela Hyde. Confronted by Lowe. Lowe does well to hold her up. Umpire's called play on again. In comes Lowe once more. Hand pass. Didn't get a lot on it. Tackle was high on the Claremont player and Laurie getting back into defence.
Hyde taking Laurie high. A bit of a... that takes something special to get a little player tackling a tall player high.
Arnott with a good juggled mark.
It's actually a headlock.
Wants to move it on. Colgate on the lead. Has Claremont's only goal, in fact, the only goal of this quarter. Kicks into space in the middle of the ground for Dickey. She wants this ball to sit up for her. Tries to sock off the deck. Missed with the first attempt. Got it with the second. But Kane's first to get there for Swans. And that will prevent Claremont from scoring again here in the 3rd quarter. Strom takes it on the bounce. Hand pass back to Osborne. And as she sidesteps Orme, Claremont have had the better of that term. They kicked the only goal. It was the only score in that quarter. But unfortunately, most of the damage that was already done in the first half has set Swans up nicely here at 3/4 time. They lead it by 5 goals. It's 5-6 to 1 straight. 1 quarter remaining in the first semi-final. After these messages, we'll have all the action from that final term.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
There's a high ball. Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're lately in a hurdling. Well, I feel that day.
It's great to be back in the West. I've obviously been over in Sydney for a couple of years and to be home in the nice weather and even better in the blue and gold is fantastic. Yeah, I was an inaugural part of the Giants squad in the first year, so been over there for the last 3 years and I guess experienced what it's like to be part of a new team and building something from the ground. So we've got time now, we're in the competition, we can build towards something really special, and I think that comes off the back of the first couple of years and just creating somewhere that everyone wants to be and play some good footy.
Three-quarter time. Here are some of the highlights from the third term. Dave Lindsay, Emily Johnson and Clint Degebright, your commentary team, as Swans take a 30-point lead into the final quarter. And Emily Johnson, we saw Claremont's best quarter of the match and they scored their first goal.
Yeah, certainly. Just they won the ball out of the middle early and just using the wind to their advantage. It probably could argue that it wasn't as strong as it was in that second quarter, but they just got the ball moving forward and their ball movement was much better as well. Bonds are breaking through lines and Paris Laurie back into the ruck, I think, helped them big time.
Deggers, you know Cara Donnellan pretty well, the coach of Swan Districts. Would she be a little bit annoyed that Swans weren't able to maintain the same sort of form that they showed in the first half?
Pretty professional coach, Cara, as she's a player. So I think it would just be, she'd be just explaining now a few things that hadn't worked as well as they had before and giving the reasons why. She's very much what we want to do and how we're going to do it. And right now she'd have run through what happened and why. So she's much more of a coach that's prepared to diagnose a symptom and provide a cure than she is to go and point the finger. So also in a pretty good position against a reasonable breeze in that quarter. So Claremont are not a poor side. They're a good side, and to expect them to lay down for 4 quarters is unrealistic, I think, from Cara's position.
Jono, we can see from these highlights a lot of water splashing up from the boots and from the bodies as they hit the deck, and certainly from our position we can see a lot of puddles on this broadcast side, but it looks as though conditions aren't too flash on the outer side of the ground as well, judging by the amount of water spraying around.
Yeah, we don't have the bird's eye view on that one, so we can't really see, but I think the difference in this game has been the Swans players have been a lot cleaner in the first half. The rain, they didn't let the wet weather get to them, and they just stuck to their guns, picked the ball up off the deck, and moved it really well as well. And Claremont were able to do that a little bit in the last quarter, and it really showed.
Some of the crowd in today watching this game between Swans and Claremont. The winner moving on to the preliminary final. The loser, their season is over as of this afternoon. There is Cara Donnellan, who is giving the last few instructions to her team before they head back out there at three-quarter time. The Claremont huddle just breaking up as well. That's a pretty tough speech to give at three-quarter time, Degs, isn't it, when you know your team doesn't have a realistic chance of making a huge comeback in this last quarter, continuing the season?
Which quarter have you enjoyed the most as a group? Well, we reckon the third quarter was enjoyed. Well, you did this really well, so if you want to enjoy the fourth, make sure that we repeat that. What don't you enjoy? Well, we don't enjoy getting sucked under the footy and have the ball go overhead. Well, don't do it. So I think Dealer's a realistic coach as well, and I think it'll be one of his key messages would have been enjoy this last quarter of football and see the damage that you can do to the scoreboard. One
of the funniest things on a day like today, Jono, is watching the people who venture out to the huddles at three-quarter time try to make their way back off the ground without ruining their best shoes that they decided to wear today and didn't give it much consideration.
Nah, Joe Taylor there in her Converse wasn't watching where she was walking and walked straight through a big puddle. So
I think the cons might have been on purpose. I like the idea of it's one of the worst things I reckon of being on Game of Thrones is wet boots.
You're wasting your time with Game of Thrones with me.
Might have intended that.
I'm one of the 3 people in the world that hasn't seen any episodes of it. Condi Padero takes the mark to start the quarter for Swans.
The second is sitting on the other side of Deggers as well.
I'm just watching them walk through the snow in wet boots and I'm thinking, I would really be uncomfortable.
Nice mark from Dickie on that occasion. Roden Zimdale now.
Wake up in the morning, fill your boots up with water, spend the rest of the day in them.
Yeah, not much fun. Swans with a 2-on-1. Brianna Hyde coughs it up with her hand pass. Lewis did well. Hand pass back to Roden Zimdale. Stannett got rid of her very easily. That ball pitches in the water and just stops. Michaela Hyde tried to fire a hand pass back to her sister. Here comes Bonza again, who's been knocked over and goes to ground. Sore once more. There will be some sore bodies at the end of today's footy. Smith with a high kick. Back towards the same puddle. Stannett gives it off. Bowen caught. And caught by Lewis, who let her know all about it as well, following up afterwards. Bella Lewis is a pretty feisty customer. So too is Bowen. And I reckon Bowen's got a long memory. She'll remember that one. Lewis is going to go over and just check that she's okay now because she's still down on the ground just gathering her senses.
I think she might have just been crushed over the ball, I think. It's when they get the ball trapped under and the body goes on.
Free kick to Swans to Houghton now on the wing.
That's more where you want Houghton to have the ball up higher on the ground and you give away a free kick up there. It's not as bad as giving it away 30 metres out directly in front.
Houghton's kick towards Antonio, who collects, does a spin around no one, and then charges on. High kick inside 50. Oh, Smith's put this on the ground, gives Matthews a chance. Smith over the top of the footy. Matthews tackles her. How will the umpire view this? Quick whistle, ball up.
Kicking there, trying to swim her way out of
Trying
it.
to get out of the
So the ruck to be done by Houghton now, opposed to Zadnik. Coming through Davison.
Had nothing to add to that, Jono. That was perfect. The Australian crawl.
Zadnik wins this one through the legs of Stannett. Coming in to help Leah Urseg. Gets a hand pass away. Hongel couldn't find the footy. Leah Urseg on ground level. Slapping it forward again. Zadnik with a toe poke. Gains 20 metres. It spins in another puddle. Roden Zimdale doing her best to get it out. Hongel was knocked over. Some strong play by Stannett. She doesn't lose her feet too often, Stannett. Bowen's back. She's recovered well. Hand pass to Ralph. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Kate Orme did very well. Reacted nicely to that ball. Beat sharp. Kicks to the wing. Laurie up in front. Taken high in the contest by O'Driscoll. So Paris Laurie now just looking upfield. Not much on. Swans have done this well all day, covering the exits for Claremont. Kicks towards Leah Urseg at the back road and Zimdale. Hand pass away. Colgate, or Valentini rather, trying to fight her way through. Becomes the tackler on Stannett. And the umpire will ball it up. Looks as though the rain stopped for the moment at least. Roden Zimdale has it. Tackled to ground very hard by Bowen. Soccer forward comes from Arnott, who then left the football for Orme. Was Orme tackled without or Garstone? Garstone it is who'll get the free kick. Claremont have started the final quarter the same way they started the third. A lot of fight, a lot of effort. Good kick. Paris Laurie coming up to present again. Orme gives a lead inside. That's ignored. Laurie will kick for distance. In fact, she won't get any distance on it. O'Driscoll manning the mark well. Bonza with a double fist knocks it back, and then O'Driscoll, as she tried to jump over Bonza, accidentally kicked her in the back of the head.
Twice.
Garstone now with a kick into the centre half forward area. Orme can't find the handle on the wet footy. Diving in on top of her is Davison. Orme fights on and like a commando, just crawls another 10 centimetres just to gain any ground she can. Ball comes back to her. Her kick goes virtually straight up in the air. Fisted forward by Pugh. Trying to emerge with the footy. Webb's kick goes straight to her opponent in Pugh. Kick out wide. Sliding in. Good mark by Timmers. Steers her pass to Lewis, diving in low, couldn't take it. Condipadero barreled by a couple of Tigers. Claremont have been far more physical, far more aggressive with their tackling since half-time as well.
Lewis went from sliding for the mark to tackling in one motion.
So the control that Swans had on the game in the first half, we haven't seen any of that in this second half. Gibson's well tackled this time by Lewis, loses the football. Brooke Urseg. A lot of endeavour from her since half-time as well. Free kick for a hold will go the way of Swans this time. It'll be Brianna Hyde to take it at left half back. She steers a kick in the direction of Matthews, goes through her hands out the back. Davison has it, off to Condipadero, spun in one tackle, then put it on the ground. In the second tackle, it'll be Pugh to take the free kick for Claremont. It's a shame in terms of a contest that we didn't see this from Claremont in the first half, because this one would be going right to the wire if we did. Swans with so much good work done in the first half when they kicked 5-0. They're goalless since then.
Yeah, much Michaela Bowen appreciates the physicality of the game. She's in a wrestle with someone and immediately thanks her for it, then goes back and wins a ball again.
Seen a lot of that today, with the tackle and then the pat on the backside as they get up. Soccer kick there from Eels. Wasn't her best effort. Good attack on the footy by Hongel. The tackle lingered from Matthews and Hongel will get a free kick. It's amazing, isn't it? The attack on the football from Claremont since half-time, and they're getting the free kicks going with them as well. Hongel's kick to the wing. Gibson was more worried about Leah Urseg. Ball gets over the back. Brianna Hyde back towards Kane. Gives it off to Bowen. Now Osborne appears. Clever little chip pass to Webb. Swans can control the football for the moment. The kick out in front of Houghton. Ball skids on past her and Garstone. Houghton timed her bump well and then collected the footy. Garstone with a second effort. Nice little move from Houghton. Just found a bit of space. The kick will hit sharp. Not sure it was intended for her, but gee, the work that she did to get rid of Garstone and just find a little bit of space to set it up probably actually deserved the reward that it got.
Yeah, certainly. Hort just changed her direction about 4 times there, and
hats off to Garstone to stay with her at all, because a lesser player would have been dusted off.
It's been a big learning day for Garstone, hasn't it? She's had Antonio and Houghton to try to curb, and neither of them have got off the chain just yet. Sharp with the kick on goal, won't score with that one. At the back, Davison had a crack. Hongel's kick was smothered. She follows up with a second effort, and now a third as she paddles it forward. Unfortunately, overruns the football. Peskard's kick doesn't travel the required distance for a mark. Pugh with the clearing kick. It splashes its way towards the boundary. Rolls over the line. It's still inside the 50-metre arc. Only by half a metre. As a result, we'll see a boundary throw in. Boundary umpire doesn't want to come in the 10. Oh, he just remembered at the last moment, so he comes in 5. Hopefully no one noticed. I'll throw it in quickly. Nice work from Strom in the ruck. Almost forgot to kick it there as she dropped it down towards her boot. Bowen tackled by 2 Tigers. Ball up called. Zadnik to contest with Strom. Gibson can't find the handle this time. Umpire called upon to do it once more.
Kayla Bowen's little hand in there, just try to pass it on there, just always thinking, and she's been is she one of the more consistent players for Swans across this whole journey? There's been a lot of good players out there for the Swans, of course.
Valentini, hand pass to Dickey, who I think had the ball kicked already before it went into her hands. Valentini, little hand pass along the ground, hoping for Dickey to collect once more. I think the umpire might have to do this a third time.
Bowen in there again. Yeah, just thinking, when Horton's gone quiet for a moment, it's Antonio. They've both been held for a moment, so it's Sharp. It's been rotated their chance, but Bowen's been very consistent across the game.
Ralph with a quick kick. Hongel. Oh, great attack again. And she's earned herself a free kick. Umpire's going to stop the game for the moment as Hongel gets herself to her feet. Check that she's not bleeding once more. Already lost her original jumper. Covered in blood in the second quarter. Might have even been the first quarter, actually. Hongel now with her kick towards the wing. O'Driscoll makes a contest from behind. Through comes Gibson. Happy to take that one over the line for a boundary throw-in rather than keep the ball stuck in one of those massive puddles you can see right in front of the Swan District's players' race. Paris Laurie comes across to do the ruck work this time, opposed to Strom. Gets straight into the back of Strom. No free kick, according to the umpire. Strom wasn't happy with it. Throws Laurie to ground.
A couple other people that are on our level that aren't happy either. We got...
I think Strom took good ruck position there, didn't she? And probably deserved a free kick. Gibson splashes her way through that puddle. Nice pick up from Bowen. Hand pass didn't have a target on the end of it at all. Dickey's hurried kick. In the opposite direction comes O'Driscoll. Does well. Emma O'Driscoll hacks her kick forward. Davison again providing a good contest. Goes in hard opposed to Dickey. Loose footy. Taken by Bonza. Her quick kick. Kane down low. Claims the mark. The umpire was having none of it. Kane now being tackled by Zadnik. In comes O'Driscoll. So to Laurie. And the umpire will ball it up again.
I'll have to go back seeing that. I think O'Driscoll picked that ball out from under the water.
Yeah, she
did.
Went one hand in front of it, one hand behind it, I think.
Scooping up a tatty.
Leah Urseg with her hand pass back to Valentini. Little hand pass hoping for Colgate. She's kicked the only goal in this half of football. Dickey's quick kick bounces past Condipadero. Kane positioned herself well and then lost the handle of the footy. Valentini. Long kick towards half forward. Lewis playing in front of Hyde. She's got Cox to beat now as well. She tackles her without the footy. The umpire calls play on. Hyde's hand pass puts Osborne under pressure. Soccer kick rebounds off the boot of Cox. That was unintentional. Back towards Sharp. Under pressure running back to her own goal. She was tackled without it as well. Umpire calls play on. Lewis collects a loose footy. If she straightens up, could have a snap on goal. She's pushed it away to the right, but there's a whistle. She's been slung to ground after the kick. It's going to come back to Bella Lewis.
She was actually picked up and thrown very dangerous. Seemed to be a dangerous tackle.
She's still down on the ground, Bella Lewis. She's pretty tough. She will get herself up to her feet. And I think she'll be okay to take the kick, certainly within range, so she won't be giving it away to anyone else.
I don't think she'll give that one away. I think it'll be her first goal in league footy, so very exciting. Yeah.
Well, she's a good pressure forward. I would have expected her to kick a lot of goals for Claremont in the years to come.
Hopefully.
So Bella Lewis, just a slight angle. She's composed herself after a roundhouse rough tackle. Can she convert to give Claremont their second goal? She's tugged it a little bit to the left. And a behind only. But Claremont with the only 2 scores of this half. They lead this half 1-1 to nothing after Swans did all the scoring in the first half.
Yeah, good way to finish for Claremont. And obviously gives Swans a bit of a tougher second half going into next week. They'll reset and go again against whoever they're playing.
Emily Maguire mentioned earlier that she's been added to the West Coast Eagles list. Good to see her get a second opportunity as well. A bit like Emily Bonza had a crack at Fremantle, but was cut from them through different circumstances. And now get a second opportunity with the Eagles. Swans have worked it to the wing. Matthews' soccer kick doesn't gain any ground. Dickey in the way. Couldn't take possession, but then tackles and then actually rips the ball out of the hands of her opponent. Hongul collects. She's just winged in that tackle. Had the right arm pinned behind her back. And the umpire's going to penalise her for holding the ball. Kelly Gibson, who started this game so well, her first half was outstanding, has the free kick.
Did it just go twice as grey as it was?
I think it did. It's
that eerie light right now, isn't it, where you know something big's about to happen weather-wise. Something big might be happening here for Swans. Brianna Hyde soccers for goal and it beats the goalkeeper. Swans get their first score of this second half and stretch their lead out to 35 points.
Garstone and Pugh having a bit of a laugh. What are we supposed to do about that? Hyde has a way of, Michaela Hyde has a way of finding a goal in a lot of the games she plays as a small forward. Just adding some other tricks to her game at the moment as she just builds towards her big 18th year. Been a member of the state 18s for a couple of years now, her and her sister.
So that's her 13th goal of the year, and I think right now it puts her into second place on the goal-kicking table.
She can kick a goal a variety of ways. Can get one on a leg, can get one at the back, can get one off the ground, can scrap one out of a pack. So she's pretty handy as a deep forward. Can play up the ground too, just obviously serving an apprenticeship in this mighty Swan side.
The other remarkable thing about her having 13 goals and being second is she now has half the total of our league leader in Tani Testa, who has 26 goals before today's game. As the rain starts to fall, and it immediately falls very heavily. You can hear it in our effects, Mike, as Maguire picks up the footy, tried to kick it on the outside of the boot, didn't get much bend on that at all. So it'll bounce away for a free kick to Claremont. This is not really what the players need right now, Jono, is it? After a tough game, they're wet, they're sore, heavy legs. Another torrential downpour just to finish off the game.
Just to make sure you know you've played a game of footy today.
Kick down the line. Arnott unable to handle that one. Webb helped over. Another boundary throw in. So Houghton with a couple of goals. Antonio, Cameron, Bowen and Michaela Hyde, the goal kickers for Swans. Colgate with Claremont's only successful attempt on goal this afternoon. As Laurie will contest with Ralph, who held her ground well at the front. Bonza couldn't take it. Brooke Urseg could. Bonza knocked over by Bowen. Brooke Urseg comes in to apply pressure onto Michaela Bowen. In comes Leah Urseg as well. Bonza with another attempt. Gets the kick away. Osborne has it knocked away from her by White. Kane, hurried kick. Intercepted by Brooke Urseg. Kicked into the middle of the ground. Goes too far for Roden Zimdale. Sharp decides just to go off the ground, and why not? Orm gets back to help for Claremont. Couldn't take it, so Davison soccers it further forward for Swans. And now Michaela Hyde has a go off the ground as well. Garstone gets in the way for Claremont. Tries to emerge with the footy. It spills from her hand. She goes again. Soccers it to Laurie. Laurie goes backwards by hand. Lowe couldn't handle that one. Houghton tries to crash her way through. Turns to the umpire wanting a free kick. Not coming her way. Hongul tries to shrug the tackle of Matthews. Matthews wraps her up and she's caught again. Matthews has the free kick. Tough kick in these conditions, even with the wind coming across her right shoulder.
Hongul's going to go home today feeling like she's been a little picked on, but she's been very solid for the Tigers.
Been one of their best, for sure. Kick for Matthews. Didn't really get much purchase off the boot. Hongul will have another attack at this footy. Houghton in there for Swans. Garstone slides in on the relayed turf. Hyde with a quick kick. She's done it again. Michaela Hyde has two. This one off the left boot. And just as you said, Deg, she can kick goals in a variety of ways. Soccered one a moment ago and now a left foot quick snap from directly in front, about 20 out.
If she gets it on a lead 40 metres out too with her right foot, she can slot them from there too. Just obviously still building her game, very young player, and still building her athleticism too, her strength and her fitness. But like her sister Bree, solid football skills, solid footy skills. So they know the game very well. And under the tutelage of this Swan Districts Footy Club, they'll continue to both get better as they prepare, as I said, for further and higher duties, hopefully, in the next couple of years.
You can see on the screen just how dark it is here at Steel
It's
Blue
horrible.
right now. It's not really the place to be.
It's dead set sweet to be where we are.
A minute to go. And I reckon there's 42 players out there. Certainly 32 on the field and 10 on the bench. We'll be quite happy to hear the siren in about 45 seconds' time. The siren will sound better for Swans than it will for Claremont. It'll be season over for the Tigers. It's been a good year for Claremont, but it will end today. 6 wins and 6 losses for the Tigers. They spent a lot of the season in second place on the table, but couldn't quite keep pace with Swans and East Fremantle late in the year. Dropped to 4th. And their season ends here this afternoon, but for Swans, they'll move on and they'll be a real threat against either Subiaco or East Fremantle in next week's preliminary final. Zadnik, a late possession for her. Hand pass towards Arnott. Maguire trying to worry her out of it. In comes Bowen for yet another tackle. And the umpire calls for the football. But Swans will win, 41 points, the final margin. And the Black and Whites march on. They're into the preliminary final. Claremont's season is all done and dusted. And Swans again, Jono, their nemesis. 4 wins from 4 in the clashes between Swans and Claremont this year for the Black and Whites, and they thoroughly deserve the win here today.
Yeah, certainly. They came out firing harder, and as we I think you mentioned earlier, Claremont are the slowest starting team in the competition, and proved it again today. If they could have brought what they brought in the second half to the start of the game, but full credit to Swans. They stuck to their game plan and it worked for them. They got the score on the board and they attacked the footy hard.
Players shaking hands out there. It's a tough game in these conditions. We've had torrential rain at times. There hasn't been too many sort of sections of more than about 5 minutes without rain today. Big puddles all over the ground, very heavy conditions, and the players will certainly know that they've been in a tough contest today here, Deggers. And Claremont, their second half was far better than their first. Mentioned at halftime, you mentioned at halftime, they really just needed to back themselves and play some of their own footy in the second half, and it's a bit of a shame that they didn't do that in the first half, because I think we would have seen a really good contest.
It just shows we're human and it affects all athletes. You're going out there against a very well-drilled unit in form. They've got some big names that you watch on the television in the summer. You're a little bit in awe of. I mean, I'm in awe of the way that Nate Horton and Antonio go about their work. So imagine going there and trying to chase them around as a young player from the Tigers. I think the Tigers have had a good year, a very, very good year. I think when they do their wrap-up and have a look at where they come from, where they are, where they're going, they need a forward, they need a mid, and they're going to be a force in 2020. De Loretto hopefully keeps the reins, adds to his coaching stocks. I think they're in a good place as a footy club. Well set up by the Rogers family on the way in. They've had a couple of good coaches to build them to this point. I think they're poised to strike to be a force within the competition for a long time.
So just watching maybe an injury concern there for Swan Districts with Amara Cameron limping with a strong ice strapping on the knee as well. So
hopefully,
hopefully she'll be okay.
We'll hope that's a cork, because it's a premiership winning trio.
Yeah.
When you talk about Houghton, and you talk about Antonio, and then you add Amara Cameron. That's without getting up into the ground, of course. The traditional.
It's a bit of confusion here as to whether we'll go with the Swans song first or whether we'll go with the whole 2-team huddle. But we're going to go with the Swans huddle initially here.
Looks like
here is the Swans song. Very happy Swan Districts group there, and yeah, a bit surprising we didn't see the 42 player huddle that we normally see between the two teams.
Maybe a bit of confusion. And
I've got a bit of inside information I won't share at this stage, because hopefully it is on the wane.
I think we're going to see a slide through a massive puddle here. Brooke White and Ella Smith. They're going to charge away and just dive front first through a puddle. And our cameras didn't catch that, unfortunately. Would have been fantastic to see. Looks like Jess Cox might have missed the song as well, did she? She's coming running over from the Claremont huddle. So
I think she ducked over to say good day
just
to
at the end.
A few ex-teammates over there.
Got the song in first.
Say hello. Yep, Ella Smith, anytime there's any shenanigans available, much like our commentator to the left of us. very, very bang up for any type of shenanigans available.
Some of the highlights from the game here as well, and we've mentioned a number of times throughout today, you can see the water splashing up from the boots and the bodies as they go sliding across this turf. It's tough. Perth grounds don't take the water too well. It's a little bit surprising, but
doesn't rain much.
A lot of the waffle grounds, once there's a bit of rain around like there has been the last few days, Bassendean, Leederville Oval today for Subi and East Fremantle will have a number of puddles out there as well. But it was very difficult conditions for any clean football. And Swans, Jono, handled the conditions better than Claremont, particularly the first half.
Yeah, certainly. Much cleaner. Gibson, O'Driscoll, Murray Cameron. As you mentioned, Bowen was just there all day. And then the likes of Antonio and Houghton as well up forward just got the job done, did what they needed to. And I think they're really challenging for the premiership this year, I think.
So Michaela Hyde kicked 2. Gemma Houghton kicked 2, Michaela Bowen kicked 1, Cameron 1, and Antonio 1, the goal kickers for Swans. Claremont's goal came through Chloe Colgate with a free kick in the third quarter. It was the only score in the third quarter. Claremont won that term. Swans winning the other 3 quite clearly. But all in all, Deg, as you mentioned, Claremont have had a very good season. Probably the first half of their season maybe better than the second half. They knocked off Subi, they knocked off East Fremantle. Swans were the one team they just couldn't quite get a handle on. Swans beat them by 36, 14, 52, and today by 41 points. So a real bogey team for them, but the way that they played against Subi and East Fremantle would give them some real hope for the future.
Absolutely. I think Claremont's in a great spot. They've just got to keep the group together. As I said, add 1 or 2 players. There's a couple of youth girls that will come up and help. They're well coached, they're well drilled, they're well supported by the club. Rachel Asquith's done a fantastic job over there. You can see Robbo ran for 2 games today. Another fantastic servant of the Claremont Women's Footy Club, Claremont's Footy Club. So I think they're in a great spot. Talking about the Swans, I think you're right. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I think they're set to go. Hopefully, Mara Cameron's just got a little bang on the knee. She'll be right because across from goal to goal, the backs are super strong. The forwards are terrific. The mids they actually had Amy Ralph go through the midfield today. They're very diverse through there. Exciting team to watch. Good luck to who plays them next week. And of course, we've got to skip out and head across to Leederville Oval to catch this next game. Don't have to commentate that one though. So
you'll be over
sitting
there
in the crowd as a regular punter.
Who's your tip for that one? Who goes straight into the grand final?
Oh, it's just very, 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 very difficult to say. East Fremantle.
East Fremantle, John.
Subi for me.
Okay, so split in the box. It could be very interesting to see who's straight into the grand final. The loser of that match has a very tough task next week, taking on Swan Districts. They will have the home ground advantage. Swans will have to travel next week. We'll be back with all of that action on our live stream next week. It'll be Swan Districts against either Subiaco or East Fremantle after Swan Districts defeated Claremont by 41 points in the first semi-final today. Stick with us with more WAFLW action next week on our live stream.
This WAFLW live stream is proudly brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the Waffle, and WAFLW, Bupa, proud sponsor of WA football. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.